I don't really have the words that I can think of to tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing. You and your family, man, because it's a sacrifice. My name is Chuck, and I need a kidney transplant.
We knew he was going in for some tests. In one of our conversations, I just half serious, half jokingly told him I'd give him one of mine if it ever came down to it. And it came down to it.
I was born in South Dakota. My mom had 3 kids. My mom got a divorce. And she actually couldn't afford to keep me around, so she gave me away about 3 times. So my dad, I always heard he was the bad guy, you know, my real dad. Probably 55 years later, I found out where my dad was. Got my son and we drove out to see him. And I was standing on his doorstep. I called him on my cell phone and told him there was 2 guys outside I'd like to talk to him. And I'd have never recognized him in 100 years, you know. He came out and we started talking and invited us in. And I said, "What's we calling?" I said, "You want me to call you Dad?" I said, "You want Jason here to call you Grandpa?" Well, I said, tears almost ran down his face. And he said, "You mean you guys would do that?" I said, "Well, you're my dad." And Jason says, "Yeah, you're my grandfather."
Chuck and I met about 14 years ago at a Bible study.
Pretty much everybody in that group kind of tells you what's going on. I mean, you got a rough idea what's going on. And they were running some tests on me for something else and suggested that I go see this kidney specialist. And I thought, I wonder what this is all about. So when I made an appointment with them, went up, and then they told me there are about 3 options. And if you don't do one of the 3, it just eventually your kidneys just shut down. See, you get on this list. And this list, they told me, it said it might be 4 years before you ever get a kidney.
I began to pray that a donor would be found before he met his demise. And he came home one day after the prayer meeting. He said, "Dave," he said, "he's going to give me one of his kidneys."
When Chuck and I first started discussing this, I told him, I'm okay with it, but there's somebody I have to ask first.
I thought, he better check with his little wife before he's so generous with his kidney.
I remember the day distinctly that he brought it to my attention because it was the very day that I saw a newscast about a gentleman who had lost his life from a liver transplant. And I was like, wow, his timing couldn't have been any worse asking me today. But I knew that this was very important to him, and I figured the Lord opened every door. We need to walk through it.
I think it's only been about 9 months max when that first little inkling from a test came back. So it has been absolutely a miracle that it has gone this quickly.
It's because of God that I'm able to do this. I truly believe that.
I've always thought, I've always seen Dave as my hero. He's my hero. And now I'm like, it's time for him to be a hero to someone else. It's time for him to help someone else. I'm madly in love with him.
17 years and we're still on our honeymoon. That's what I tell people, and it's the truth.
He is my everything.
Yeah.
When I talked to the doctor the other day, this will go fine. Well, that's good news. But I'm sure they wouldn't want to sit there and say, this isn't going to go good at all, buddy. 1 foot in grave, 1 foot in the grave already.
They're going to make some cuts here, 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 and here. They're going to go in through here to get my left kidney because it's less invasive to take the left one. And one of them is going to be for the surgeon's hand. One's going to be for his instruments. One's going to be for the camera. And then down here is, I think, the tube that's going to inflate me to blow me up so that they can get the kidney out. And it takes about 3 hours, and then they're done.
Dave, he's a blessing to me. Hard telling how much longer, but I'm going to be around for a while.
Jesus says this, This is my commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that one lay down his life for his friends. Jesus isn't asking us, it's a commandment. And loving the Lord the way I do, and for what he did for us, it was only natural that we do it for one another, is what he says. Love one another, to the point where we're willing to sacrifice our lives for him.
If we all would give to reach out and help other people, I know what a more wonderful world this would be.
My main priority through all of this is that God get the glory in it, and that people realize that the need for organ donation, if everybody was to do something like this, there wouldn't be a list, there wouldn't be a donor list, because everybody would have the organs that they needed.